Hey!
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to
Behind the Scenes
of Our Best Days.
My name is
Arvin. John.
My name is John.
And my name is
and
Arvin.
His name is Arvinian.
It's still Arvin. Arvinian. I'm thinking Arvies. I thought of that the other day.
Arvies.
When I first met John and we really became close, he would say, I'm thinking Arvies when he saw me. And that's a good fast food
Because that used
joke.
to be like a commercial in 2021
Yeah.
when someone's like, I'm thinking Arby's.
And then we all collectively, as a country, said, no one's thinking Arby's.
Yeah, everyone was like, actually, I've never
Like,
think
who's
about
actually-
Arby's. Arby's, and I know that I've talked about this just because I believe in it so much. Arby's could be the roast beef of, like, they could be like a Chick-fil-A roast beef.
They could.
Because at least in most of America, Chick-fil-A was the first place. It was like, we're serving chicken. We're going to serve these four things and make it really awesome.
Yes. That's
right?
That's
and
right.
then they blew up.
Yes.
And then other people like Cane's and all these other, followed.
Yeah.
No one is in competition with Arby's. No one is serving roast beef.
Your local deli is in competition with Arby's.
Yeah, and then
Arby's,
like Iru Daugherty, my grand
she likes
who
it.
makes pot roast.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, she like crock pot.
Yes.
Crock pot moms are in competition with Arby's.
Yeah, that's right.
But sliced roast beef?
Where are you gonna get that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, so I'm just like, Arby's, stop experimenting with pitas and mint chocolate chip shakes.
Yeah.
And I told you in one season, I said I would collect Arby's wine glasses.
I remember that. I remember that. Yeah.
Arby just does everything. It's just weird. Now, Taco Bell, it's expected.
Yeah.
For them to have like
that's their
some
brand.
weird like
Baja Blast stuff.
Yeah, Baja Blast.
Right.
And like Dorito taco.
Yeah.
It's
Those
just wild.
crossovers. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that is it is definitely like I don't know, like if tie-dye shirt were a food chain, it's Taco Bell.
When was the last time you had fast food?
Oh, well,
It's been years.
I like fast food.
Sure.
Yes. So because I have my kids and I have to be completely honest, I cook. They're with me 4 nights out of the week, and I cook 2, sometimes 3 nights out of the week, and then the other nights if we drive through, they love Chinese,
Nice,
and they love Brahms.
Yeah.
Here in Oklahoma,
The best.
we have this place called Brahms.
Yeah.
It's got high-end ice cream.
It's very good.
That is not expensive.
That's right. And their burgers are like trustworthy.
So
meat.
good.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that
Honestly.
would be the thing.
Yeah. Same. Occasionally, I will. It's awful, but there's a Brahms perfectly situated between my gym and my house.
I know exactly.
So I'll
that
leave
Brahms.
the gym and I'm just going to go get, I don't even do fries anymore. I just do 2 huge burgers and I finish them in the car between the gym and the house. They are remarkably close to it.
That is so funny. So you're like, I'm going to burn off the calories and then I'm just going to take them all back in.
And I
That
tell
way
myself
stay
it's protein.
balanced.
I'm like, no, it's good because there's meat in it,
So you justify.
I do justify it.
So is this a segue into what we're talking about today?
Accidentally it is.
Okay. So, I love it when we as humans justify things. Okay, basically, if this is your first time listening to this podcast, this is behind the scenes of our best days here at Victory. Within this entity, we have a Bible college, a school, pre-K through 12th. There's a camp. We have 2 dream centers, one out west, one in North Tulsa, and then we have our church and then 2 other church campuses. And in this entity, we do this confession about saying that our best days are right in front of us. That we say before every single, whether it's an all staff or a service. And this podcast, the whole sole purpose of it is for us to talk about the behind the scenes
of our best days.
Because everyone has them.
That's right.
If we're honest with ourselves. So we just like to kind of be honest about whether it's, production or serving behind the scenes at a church, and so I do think that, or the behind the scenes of our lives.
That's right.
Okay.
Plenty of that. Yeah.
So I will justify myself. This is one thing that me and Arvin have been talking about.
Yeah.
Is when it comes to something that we know is naughty.
Yeah.
Okay, because everyone has a GP, a guilty pleasure.
Guilty pleasure, yeah.
Okay, a guilty pleasure. For me, there's this there's this ice cream place that is about a mile away from my house.
Oh yeah.
And the ice cream, they could totally be lying, but they're like, oh yeah, we get it from Cape Cod, Nantucket. And, New England really has great creameries. And I'm like, yeah. No, that makes sense. The cream is better in New England.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just believe them because I want to believe them.
Sure. Yeah. It's fun.
It's fun.
Yeah.
And the ice cream is absolutely so good.
I've been there.
Rustic Gate Creamery.
Yeah, that's right. They also do a pineapple whip.
Oh, yes.
That is so good.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't mess with fruit stuff. Get out of here. Fruit stuff, I'm like, if I'm going to have dessert, I'm going to go all in. Yeah. But this is how I do it on Sundays.
Yes.
After I drop my kids off, and then on my way home, I'm like, okay, it's early. It's before 7 p.m. I talk like I'm a senior citizen.
I love it.
Because senior citizens have to eat popcorn.
Honestly, they're living their best life.
Yeah.
Those are their best days.
Yeah, exactly.
Good for them.
And I'm like, I'm just going to treat myself. And I think the term treat yourself that came out 12, 15 years ago, people abused that.
They go, I will.
I feel like during COVID, we saw that.
That's right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
everyone put on lots of weight.
Yeah, COVID weight.
Yeah. And here's the thing, no shame on anyone, but the
COVID-19.
The COVID-19. That is funny. Good word on that.
They go freshman 15 and the COVID-19. That's good.
That's really bad. Especially what was bad is if it happened your freshman year.
Yeah.
In college. 15 plus 19.
34 pounds. Dude.
I was going to say 67. Yeah. So my math is not good. But I would justify me going to this ice cream place and buying 3 pints.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, I'm only going to eat 2 pints tonight, which is a lot.
Sure.
But I'm like, oh, well, this is my cheat day. And people go hard on their cheat days.
Cheat months.
Yes.
It's my cheat year.
Yes. And so anyways, I just think people do it with credit cards.
Yeah.
They do it with, for me growing up in church, I'm like, well, I had chapel. Yeah. Like in college, whenever my parents weren't forcing me to go to church, I was like, well, I had chapel twice this week. So I got my God in.
Yeah. Yeah. He's fine.
He's fine. So I don't have to go to church because I already got God in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so whenever I would just skip church, I justified it.
Sure.
But how often do we do that?
All the time, I think. Once you become aware of it. And this actually stems from a more serious conversation, but it's worthwhile to share because everyone has this in their life where we were talking about people we've known and stories we've heard in the past of individuals who they are completely committed to how they want to operate with God in their future. And we believe that for them. But their character's not yet in a place, and I can even use myself as an example, where your character's not yet in a place where it would be wise on God's part to entrust you with more than you can handle there. And stories about folks who, in so doing, they've dropped the ball in so many areas. And it's not like a black and white situation where it's like, you have sinned, you're unfit for ministry. It's more so like, oh, I can see like you're able to do this really well, but this other stuff that you're going to probably have to learn in the future. And it's really, really merciful of God to present us with that option. But it really comes down to this conversation about, okay, here's a habitual behavior you probably observed in your upbringing, in your environment, that like this is how you talk to people, or this is how you speak to service people, or
like waiters or waitresses, baristas.
Yeah. You just saw it happen, so you just adopted it yourself. Right? And then you can either break that string.
So basically what you're saying is you're presented with a choice.
Yes.
And there's only 2 choices.
In this case, yeah.
In this case, whether it comes to, and based on these choices, you can kind of gauge what God will trust you with.
That's right. Yeah, precisely.
And okay, so what are the 2
so
choices?
you break the curse or the link,
yes,
or the chain, or you justify it. And you go, well, there's a reason that I'm this way, and it's okay, and da-da-da-da-da. And so a lot of you see this a lot in the abuses of all the personality tests. I really appreciate all of them. Myers-Briggs, the Berkman, the Enneagram. Oh, yeah, but I remember sitting in a meeting one day, and we were assigning tasks and like homework, like as we go from here. And I remember hearing this guy go, well, I'm a whatever number on the Enneagram that he is. And he goes, so I don't really do stuff like that. And I remember being like, oh, wow. That's amazing that you thought you could say that out loud. That's amazing to me.
Yeah, but people use that.
Yeah, it's a crutch for some. Others, obviously, it's informative and helpful, the strength finders, things like that. It's really good. But yeah, it comes down to you either break that chain and God's happy to help you. That's why he made you aware of the problem in the first place. Or you justify it. And then that's when God goes,
I'm an Enneagram too, so I'm a helper.
Yeah.
And so I actually don't receive help from people.
Right. And
I'm just like, you realize that you can. You're just choosing not to.
That's right.
So you've justified.
That's right.
That's a light example. Another example would be like, for instance, for exercise.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I am so sore. Yesterday, I worked out so hard.
Yeah.
And I'm sore. I'm definitely good for a day.
Sure.
And you don't show up. But if your goal is consistency, you've just justified your way out of your long-term results not being there.
That's right.
So it really comes down to character, the structure of who you are.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also, I mean, if we want to go there, the real like devastating place you see it most often, especially nowadays, is where people will defend behaviors or habits because of the bad things that happen to them in their life.
Oh, because of trauma.
Yeah. And there is a legitimate.
Sorry, that sounds like I'm mocking.
No, it's real.
I am mocking, but I'm right now going to take a moment.
Yeah.
Everyone who's listening, I apologize.
Yeah.
I understand you've had trauma.
Yes.
But let me just say this. Everyone has.
Yes. Yeah.
Some worse than others.
Yeah.
But your emotions are valid.
Sure.
Okay? So listen to me. I'm validating you, but also grow the heck up.
Sure. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I don't quote this guy often enough, but there's something I can't pretend I came up with. Erwin McManus said this. He's the lead pastor of Mosaic and a few other things. And he said, in regard to this topic of like the victimization being justification for how you want to live your life, and sorry that I also did these things, but I was abused, so this happened. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility.
Ooh.
And
say that again.
It's not. Erwin said this. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility.
Man.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Isn't it? You're like, okay, so now you've absolved the person of, like, you didn't cause this. What happened to you was terrible. It's awful. Now it's your responsibility, what you're going to do with it.
Yeah, because there's so many stories. I mean, if those of you who are listening, there's this incredible female evangelist, preacher, master communicator named Joyce Meyer. Her story is
wild,
awfully bonkers.
Yeah.
Of, raped over and over again with objects and just crazy stuff and beat. And but yet,
by the way, by her own father.
Yeah.
Awful.
And today she has the largest, not just women's ministry.
Yeah.
Like for a while,
yeah,
her ministry grew bigger than like Bishop T.D. Jakes before a lot of the Instagram preachers started coming
absolutely.
out. She was selling out like not churches, stadiums.
Yeah.
With her message of hope and the word of God.
Absolutely.
And so whenever you hear that, yes, again, I know that things that have happened to my life that are traumatic probably don't compare with those of you who are listening or watching. You probably have been through worse things than I have. But I'm also like, there's also people out here like doing their thing.
Right.
Like they made a choice to not justify and like be victimized, but to break it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I even think about like, it's crazy. David and Saul. So David.
Oh, wow.
David, God says, that's a man after my own heart. David killed people, slept with his friend's wife.
Yikes. Yeah.
All of these things, danced naked.
Yeah. Killed that friend.
Yeah. Killed that friend.
Yeah.
Like, had issues.
Yes.
Lots of issues with his kids and all these things.
Yeah.
Saul, you never hear of issues with his marriage.
Right.
You never hear of issues with Saul and his son, Jonathan. Jonathan, even though he's like, my dad is crazy, he died next to him.
That's right.
Served him.
Yeah.
So if you're to put two next side by side and you're to look contextually, you're kind of like, David is a hot mess.
Right.
He definitely does not deserve to go to heaven.
Right.
He definitely is not saved because of this.
Yeah.
And you look at Saul, you're like, oh, stand up, man of God.
Mm-hmm.
But what God said in the Bible was, Saul disobeyed me.
Mm-hmm.
He broke that, like, I told him to do this. And remember, if you read in the Old Testament, Saul justified whenever he was supposed to destroy this, the army and all of their cattle and all this stuff. Well, he kept some stuff and he justified it for the people.
That's right.
Which comes down to fear of people.
Yeah.
Instead of fear of God.
Right. Exactly.
Which is wild.
Yeah.
And
it cost him everything.
Yeah. To where David was consistently going back into the presence of God.
Yeah.
I screwed up.
Yeah.
I'm wrong.
Right.
I can't do this without you.
Yeah.
Lord, help me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
If you're like, didn't grow up reading the Bible and you were to look at both of them,
Yeah.
you would be like, well, this guy is more perfecter.
Right.
I know that's not a word. I said that on purpose.
But you get it.
But you get it.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying?
100%. Yeah.
And what I'm saying is David never justified the things that he did.
Right.
And he had lots of issues. So I'm not saying that, like, you're not going to have flaws.
Right.
Because the man after God's own heart had flaws.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I just thought that was interesting.
It's very interesting. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So as the reason why it's important that that we do, and every single one of us has a thing that we know, okay, we're justifying in this area.
Yeah.
Not everyone is 10 out of 10 in every area of their life.
Yeah.
If they're like 11 out of 10 in fitness, then, they may be a 5 or 6 out of 10 in their marriage.
Yeah.
Or maybe their marriage is amazing, their fitness is amazing, but there's a disconnection with their kids, or they're crushing at work. Like, it is hard to be an 11 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 on everything.
Yeah.
So no one expects that.
Right.
I mean, that's where the grace of God comes in. That's where our relationship with God, of like, God, Holy Spirit, I need you.
Yeah.
But I do think that there are people wanting in this world, influence. That's why they're called influencers, and people that are like really seeking to do something great with their life.
Yeah.
I'm in my mind now. You correct me if I'm wrong. You just need more breaking than you need justifying. If you're wanting to, if you're wanting to position yourself for the favor of God.
Yeah. Well, really, what it is a complete transition in how you think, because we're taught as we grow up, once you become aware of things you're doing wrong or have done wrong, we are taught to fear the consequences. But it's a really beautiful truth that God, as our Father, it's actually, this is, I think, why Paul wrote, he rejoiced in his weakness. When you become aware of something that you've been doing that has been causing you or others harm, short-term or long-term, there is if you're tapped into the heart of God and you trust God, that's good news.
Yeah. Because
he's gifted you with this awareness and he's capable of breaking it.
Right.
But he has made you aware of it out of his mercy.
Yes.
So to live an entire life, and I've had the privilege of speaking to certain people in their 60s or 70s. There's a gentleman I know who's in his late 80s. And the awareness of what he's done in his life that's caused harm to his family, his former wife and kids, all that stuff, it arrived at him in his 80s. And he's like, I wish I'd known this. He looks at me like I'm a kid. He goes, when I was your age. I'm like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? And I think there's a lot of beauty in that and changing the way you look at it. So when you become aware of the issue that you have, it's really good news. And I also think hidden in this message, if you zoom out from it a little bit and just let it marinate for a while, hidden within this idea of how we relate to ourselves and God is the key to how to treat people. Because
that's true.
God's heart in this is that I am capable, on this day in 2011, I can celebrate with you for something that you just brought to me and we're breaking it. And I still know, if this was God's stream of consciousness, I still know what you're going to have to break in 2015 and 2021 and 2027 and 2042, that he does not sit there and go, well, you're not, it's not 2042 yet. He doesn't hold the future against you.
Wow.
And
that's so refreshing.
If you are intimate with that perspective for a while, you start to see people that way and you go, wow, this person, you can see the stuff they have to work on. You can see the character flaws they may have. But because of what you understand God has treated you, how he's treated you, you're capable of celebrating with them this, what you might consider minuscule victory, because you're like, well, I'm not going to hold that. God knows, as I'm sitting here right now, and we're recording this in July of 2023, there are so many things in the future that I'm going to become aware of, that I have to get better at, that I have to learn. And the fact that they exist is not bad news. It's good news. I'll be happy to be like, oh, I got to break this. And there's a predestined time to do that. Mm-hmm. So everyone I meet is on the same path. And so hopefully, unless they're justifying what they're doing. So all that to say, it makes me appreciate and like people that you wouldn't think I would appreciate and like.
Yeah.
Because we don't have things in common. We maybe don't have aesthetic tastes in common. We maybe don't have preferences in common. But if you're a person who's saying, when I become aware of what I need to improve, I don't justify it. I write it down. I work on it. I can sit down and talk to a person like that, no matter how many differences we have in our faith or beliefs. I can sit down with someone like that for a lot longer than someone who might share all my beliefs, but when they're made aware of something they need to work on, they're like, I don't know. I mean, think about it. Like, my dad did that, whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean?
They're like, I'm Irish. I get
Irish.
Yeah. People
exactly.
used to blame
That's
their
true.
bloodline.
Yeah,
stuff.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know. Don't blame me. I'm Italian,
Yeah.
so I yell at my wife. Mm-hmm. And and you're like, oh, okay,
like,
you don't have to.
You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I love what you said, how God doesn't hold our future against us, even though he knows it.
Yeah.
Okay, so question.
Yeah.
An example of when you justified instead of broke. And I'm thinking about specifically in like a role that you do here at church.
Okay, you want a real embarrassing one, transparent one? I've been on staff for several years now. I've been at Victory as a church member, and like my dad's Iranian church meets here, so I'm a PK, all that stuff, for a long time, 20 years at least. There have been times where I go into a project and my secret motive, my secret deadline is, this is going to earn me approval and applause of Christian people, and it's going to get me in good standing with my Christian leaders, and that's what I want out of this project. But then I make the mistake of consecrating the project to God and going, Lord, do whatever you want to do. Well, if you're going to do both of those things, the stronger one is going to win. So when God's like, okay, are you sure? So what's happened in the past is I've been made aware of, okay, my commitment to this thing and my motive for this thing is in conflict with what other people are willing or unwilling to commit to it as well.
Yeah.
And so the temptation there is, you can, Arvin, you can coast and still make them happy. If I'm real honest, at this point in my life, I know how to play the song of pleasing Christian people.
Yes.
I can partner with you to write a script that makes Christian audiences real happy.
Yeah, and like golf clap.
Yeah, and they go, this is great.
Yeah, this
is good. And it's enough.
The
problem with that is, God and I, on the drive home from those events, it's like, well, I brought you here to grow.
Right.
So you just want to coast and please those people because you consider it easy. You're going to justify continuing to do that, and then you're going to ask me for more? You just buried your gift.
Yeah, that's the story of the talents.
That's right. Whereas you're like, I if you were to go the other route and go, God, I see that I'm doing this for man. I'm doing this for the applause of people and for my leaders. And there's a lot of stuff here that if I was to throw myself into it more, if I was to work harder, if I was to pay more attention, if I was to dedicate more time and commitment and courage and have more difficult conversations and have more nuanced moments, that it would grow me as a person and it would improve what we're actually doing, even though that may not always be exactly welcome on the front end. You know, it's like, let's push the limit.
Envelope,
so that's my one of my examples where sometimes I'm like, to summarize it, I feel tempted to justify coasting on what has worked in the past, compromising into the neglect of what God's trying to create in the future.
Right.
You know, and then it's like, that's a miserable place.
It really is. And I feel like that's where people get frustrated as creatives if they work in church.
Yeah.
You know, if you work in church after 4 years and you're a graphic designer and your pastor says, hey, we did this series called Daniel in the Lion's Den, you know, back in 2019. Do you still happen to have that graphic or that media package?
Yeah.
And in your mind, you go, oh, yeah, that's a simple copy and paste. 4 years ago, people don't remember the branding of this Daniel in the Lion's Den sermon series. We can literally do the same thing.
Yeah.
When you do that, you then have not stewarded the gold or the chance.
That's right.
Stewarding the chance that your pastor is giving you, that your leadership, that God has.
Yeah.
And so when you do that, then all of a sudden, don't be surprised if that creek begins to run dry.
That's right. You want a biblical example?
Say it.
This has occurred to me recently. It's very interesting because it's the challenge occurring in my chest right now. When Joshua leads the Israelites toward Jericho, there's this whole moment with this angel, the commander of the Lord's army, whatever. They defeat Jericho. And they do it by having the entire population of people surround Jericho. They do the walking thing. You remember the story. The next challenge they have is a small town, way smaller than Jericho. And he sends these scouts to go look at it. They come back and say, they are so much smaller than Jericho. We only need a small percentage of our army to go. They go and they get beat really badly. Yeah. And so what I want to point out is that the rest of Joshua, like 4 through 12, is them demolishing everybody. Yeah. They're just winning. After the whole thing with it's the city of AI, no relation to artificial intelligence, unless maybe you tell us. Anyway,
but it is interesting that it was I that tripped them up.
It's so true. They come back, and then it says, and you'll notice in every battle afterward, Joshua goes to consult the Lord, and God goes, take all of your army.
Yeah. Leave no doubt.
Yeah.
Blitz all night.
Everybody goes. Everybody goes.
Yeah.
And then the next battle, so they beat Ai handily. Then they go to the next one. Joshua has learned his lesson. He goes to the Lord, and he goes, right, take all of your army. Take all of your fighting men.
Right.
So it wasn't about the number of people. It was about, are you going to give me everything you have? Because the victory, walking around Jericho does not weaken, that's not a real thing. It's obedience.
Right.
So right now, that perspective of, you could sit there and measure how much do I really want to care about this? Do I really want to? And then the challenge for me has been, don't even concern yourself with the consequences or the results. Yeah. Obviously within the boundaries of being healthy and godly and stuff. Right. But take all, how many fighting men does Arvin have? They're going to all go after this fall film. They're going to all go after this day. They're all going to, you don't have a meeting until 9:00 that day. You're not 4 a.m. Let's see what, because I know I can. And so that internal bubbling brook is starting to get more and more concentrated.
You're driven by fire as opposed to a job responsibility.
That's right. Yeah.
You're driven by conviction.
Yes, that's right.
As opposed to just
that's right.
I feel like getting up early today.
Right. I've come to disregard it. Yeah.
So what's unique is that, so I coach with students.
Yes.
And you will see this specifically in high school sports. You will see some kid who is playing a certain sport, let's say basketball, and I mean works his tail off, freshman year, sophomore year, breaks in the starting lineup, has an incredible junior year to where it is like amazing.
Yeah.
And then because he has an incredible junior year and he dominates, he justifies and coasts.
Yeah.
And then his senior year, everyone is amping and hyping it up. And I know some of it has to do with anxiety and stuff.
Sure.
But you see people who have standout junior years underperform their senior year because their work ethic, their grind, their weight room, training, skills, going to extra camps, playing on an AAU team, all of those things, they did not go to the next level after they were great. And I think that all of us have, that's the story of multiplying your talents.
Yeah.
Once the guy with 2 talents, the guy in the middle, once the guy with 2 talents got 4, guess what? Next time he multiplies, he's going to have 8.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like someone who has 2 talents their junior year and they multiply it, they have 4. Their senior year, they should come in with 8 talents.
That's right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's just the stewarding of these opportunities, where sometimes, I guess it's like, it's like coasting versus giving it your best, justification and things like that. Oh man. Okay. One thing that I just want to say, if you are listening to this and you work at a church, there is something. I absolutely love youth conferences. I think they're amazing.
Absolutely.
The presence of God is awesome, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Most students, if you ask them, hey, man, wouldn't it be amazing if we got Rich Wilkerson Jr. speak at our youth conference? All of the kids would go, I don't know who that is. Nor do they care.
Yeah.
Students want to hang out.
Yeah.
They love worship, but and here's the thing, Rich Wilkerson Jr. is one of the best preachers I've ever heard. Top tier, amazing.
Yeah.
But I'm saying there is sometimes with youth conferences, the people who are the most about it are the youth pastors.
Yeah.
Or their youth leaders, right?
Yeah.
Kids are like, wait, is there free food?
Right.
Is there worship? Do we get to do a dance battle? Can I do a lip sync battle?
Yeah.
They look forward to that more than a guest speaker or than like a guest music artist.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's tough with like a Christian music artist.
Yeah.
All of these kids, I just don't know. Anyways.
Yeah.
So what is unique is like, I think that there is within ministry, we have certain things to where we're hanging our hat on our junior year.
Interesting.
And we're not recreating again. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
And this is nothing against any type of conference. It's,
of course.
When I was growing up, we had a nursery conference and a children's conference.
I remember that. I was there.
It was bonkers. We had guest speakers come in to speak to kids. And then one night we had a magician who had a packed altar call.
Nice.
And their sin disappeared.
Yeah. Lit on fire.
Fire.
Yeah. Pulled salvation.
And and one night there was like a juggler who also did worship. It was just weird. So weird. But anyways, then what they began to do was they were like, hey, during conference, if you have all of these adults visiting the adult conference to hear these great speakers, for kids, like, let's make room for them to hear the voice of God. So as opposed to a guest speaker, like, what can we do within our services to really set it up and really explain and even do arts and crafts? Everything is about hearing the voice of God.
Sure.
And so Pastor Amy kind of reinvented, she's the one who kind of stopped that.
Yeah.
And now I'm not saying that the way we do it is the right way, but I'm just like, wow, it's so cool that you visited almost like a sacred cow.
Yeah.
Or you visited something that like, man, every time we do X, Y, and Z, it's an ace in the hole.
Sure.
You could justify and be like, let's do it again.
Sure.
Sure. Or whenever you revisit it, you're like, let's not just treat this like AI.
Yeah.
Let's not just treat this like our senior year after standout junior year. Yeah. Like, what would it look like? Like right now we are rewriting a Christmas script that we did of this Christmas production in, I want to say 2017. So we feel like, whenever we started doing these productions, I felt it in my heart. I did not hear the audible voice of God, but it was like, John, do 7 years of Christmas, 7 years of Easter.
Yeah.
And write those scripts.
Yeah.
Then after the 7th year, revisit those scripts. And so we are now, I think, getting ready to start our 3rd year of doing it. So wow, we've been doing this for 10 years.
Man.
But and then Fall Films kind of got looped into that.
Yeah.
So now we are revisiting old scripts. And when I listen to the songs that we wrote 5 or 6 years ago, in my mind, I'm like, these will work. We already have choreography to these.
Sure.
This is very easy.
Yeah.
You know, that's a temptation for me.
Right.
But I just couldn't sleep at night.
Yeah.
And, you know, on Monday I came in and I was like, I just want us to relook at this. And you had already done a good job of revamping the script.
Some updates, yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, being a steward of what is the now thing that God is doing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so anyways, that's just my 2 cents, but only you can make the change. That's a good quote.
That's trademarked for us.
From
that's
all
ours.
of you guys.
Yeah.
That's
Don't steal it. Dude.
No, actually, you can steal it. You just got to credit me.
You can borrow it.
That's just my 2 cents, but only you can make the change. And then you can tell people, get
We're
it.
We're going
like
to forget we came
nickels.
up with this, and someone's going to say it to you in a lobby, and you're going to go, that's great, man.
And I'm going to go, wow. And then I'm going to put it in a script. Yeah. And I'll be like, I'll credit man in lobby or woman in lobby.
Yeah,
you know.
Could be.
Yes, it could be.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, for sure.
Anyways, hey, we hope today was a revelation.
Yeah.
Right?
It could have been. Up to you.
It could have been.
Or maybe you rewind.
Or maybe you rewind, or maybe you just justify it and you throw everything that we said
That's right.
out the window.
That's
Not
right.
that what we have to say is like really profound, but I think that's why I like doing this podcast, and that's why we're on season 6.
That's right.
All right? Because it's like, okay, we feel conviction.
Yeah.
God hasn't told us to stop yet.
Yeah.
So anyways, but we just want to say thank you for listening.
Thank you.
We love you, and we will see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Oh